potentially recorded, and it's being seen in different places. So I'll just try to like not freak myself out as far as public speaking is concerned. Welcome to this webinar, this educational webinar. My name is Jill, and I am here to speak primarily today about our skin health and in particular endocrine disruptors. There is it's a really great, I like to print things out, really great questions here that I'd love to answer, but I just wanted to start off by saying that this is a really, really complex topic. I think one that has not been talked about enough in regards to like even what our hormones are. And, you know, having been in skincare now for 37 years, I've seen, as I've said before, like I've seen skincare products go from like this many products to like this many products, right? And this many treatments to this many treatments, right? And it's really hard to decipher like what's good for my skin, what's good for my health and well-being. And the way I have educated over the years, because I'm constantly on that learning path, right? And studying this particular topic of endocrine disruptors is really eye-opening. So I want to try to keep the complex topic to as simple as I can. But I always like to quote a yoga teacher that I listen to all the time. And he really talks about there's the ideal and then there's the real. Because if we get into this really honing in on like the specifics of, gosh, what are all the things I can do to, one of the questions here is like, you know, wanting to be as healthy as possible. And a lot of times it's, you know, it's unavoidable. We have antioxidants, we have free radicals in our water, in our air, you know, in most everything. Free radicals, by the way, are just molecules that attach to healthy cells and start to deteriorate them. But the good news is this, like we have the ability to heal ourselves. We have the ability to reduce the amount of toxins that we allow into our own environment, right? So let's go with this. Endocrine disruptors, they are both natural and man-made chemicals that can mimic or interfere with body's hormones. And they're linked to a variety of health problems. And they're found in our environment, and they're found in a plethora, one of my favorite words, by the way, plethora of products, body products, cleaning products, you know, just on and on. So I'm going to keep going back to saying there's the ideal and then there's the real. Because I talk to a lot of people that are like, well, I'm just going to try to eliminate every toxin, right? And I don't even know if that's necessarily possible. But within some of these questions, we talk about ways of how we can detox our environment and detox our systems, right? Because the endocrine system, there are glands throughout the entire body that produce hormones that act as signaling molecules, often released into the circulatory system. You might be like, what? But we have so many hormones within our body. The endocrine system is vast. Our skin is the largest organ of the body. And let's stop and think about that for a moment. Because one of the questions here, I don't want to like jump around too much, but it's like, I like this one from Tasha. I've been slathering hormone disrupting lotions on my body for years. Is there skincare detox or am I doomed forever? First of all, I love the question because a lot of times when you think, oh shit, shoot, you know, her question specifically reminds me of, for years, my favorite lotion to put on my body was a lotion that would smell like vanilla wedding cake, like just anything vanilla, right? And So yes, the good news is yes, we are constantly producing new cells. It's a question of what kind of cells we're producing. Cells are born, they do their job, and they die off, right? And so we got to think of it this way: like we want to birth, for lack of a better term, birth healthy cells, right? And our skin, being the largest organ, is produced from our liver. So I will talk a little bit about the liver today, because it does filter the blood from our entire system. And so what we ingest, what we actually take in to our body, and what we put on our skin, truly does matter. But going back time and time and time again to, there's the ideal, where kind of we want to be, like we want everything to be like amazing and chemical free and toxin free and pesticide free and all these things. And then there's the real. What can we really do, right? So skincare, food, beverages, toys, carpets, pesticides, absorb in the air, dust, skin, water, all these things play a part in, as I mentioned, our environment. So let me see, what's the best way to handle this? Because again, we're going to get into like all the different chemicals and things like that are allowed just via our FDA, that are allowed into our foods and into our skincare products. Things like BPAs, which is bisphenol A. It's a chemical used in plastics, right? Phthalates. Phthalates are an interesting one because they are used to increase the longevity of a product. They're often termed as parfum and fragrance. And that was another question here that I'm sure I'll find at some point in time. But we don't have to, like, if a product, so when you're reading like the ingredient, what I often call the ingredient deck, the ingredient list, the ingredients are listed from the most to the least. And when we get into parabens, which are preservatives, which often are now, a lot of products are paraben free. But parfum or perfume or fragrance, you don't have to say in a product what that is. It'll just say parfum or fragrance, and then it won't say anything else. So those are phthalates. Phytoestrogens are not so much in skincare, they're more in food. Just kind of running through some of the chemicals that are endocrine disruptors: BPAs, phthalates, phytoestrogens, triclosan, that used to be an antibacterial chemical, I believe has been taken out of a lot. It was used a lot primarily in like hand sanitizers and things like that. And then I said parabens. So back to endocrine disruptors. When absorbed into the body, an endocrine disruptor can increase or decrease normal hormonal levels. They also can mimic natural hormones or alter the natural production of hormones. So that, sounds not great, right? But, we'll tie things into this amazing skincare line too, because having been in skincare for as long as I have been, when there used to be like a small handful of products that weren't great, products like Neutrogena, Clinique, Estee Lauder, so on and so forth. There weren't that many skincare products, and now there are so many, and it's very confusing to really like look into, like, should this go on my skin? Does it even matter what I put on my skin? And the answer is yes, it truly matters. Our skin absorbs roughly about 60% of what we put on it, right? And so we want our products that we put on our skin to be like, as I think we've discussed in the one we did earlier this month, we want our products to be like food for the skin, nourishment for the skin. Things that our skin is being protected by, is being nourished and fed by, because our skin has its own natural microbiome, right? And I think we're going to have a discussion about a little bit more specifically about that later. But we have this beautiful, we have good bacteria and we have bad bacteria on our skin, right? But a lot of the times we're stripping our natural acid mantle, we're stripping our natural microbiome off of the surface of our skin that is a beautiful protectant to like environment, to pollution, you know, so on and so forth. So this product doesn't have any of those endocrine disruptors in it, right? So let's see, how am I doing on time? I am going to answer some of these questions, and we're going to talk through some of the notes that I've taken. And then I think if there are any questions that are coming in live, Beto is going to send them to me in the chat. Because I think I sort of answered this question from Jessica. I keep hearing the term endocrine disruptor lately. Can you explain what that actually means in simple terms? So what I try not to do, I try to be very careful with my words, because there are ways that we can cleanse the system, take care of our skin. We have to remember that the skin is made from internally. It is our largest organ, as I said before, produced by the liver. And it's constantly wanting to reproduce itself. You know, you've got the dermis, which is the true skin, and then the epidermis, which it's the dermis produces the epidermis, and the epidermis we're constantly like gently exfoliating. Most of the dust in our air is dead skin cells, right? Take off a shirt, we're sloughing off dead skin cells. Use a washcloth, use a scrub, you know, cleanse our face, whatever. We are removing primarily the surface layer of the epidermis. So as I already mentioned earlier, that endocrine disruptors are natural or man-made chemicals that can mimic or interfere with body's hormones. That's essentially what they are. Monica asked what kind of symptoms or health issues might be caused by using products with endocrine disrupting chemicals over time. So without getting too much into that, because they can be linked to a variety of healthcare or health issues. And there's no like one path, because if you were to Google or look up the endocrine system and how many hormones we have, we're not just talking about estrogen, testosterone, progesterone. We're talking about melatonin, cortisol, oxytocin, dopamine, like serotonin. All of these are hormones throughout the entire body that pretty much regulate everything, right? So I can't really get into specific healthcare problems, because you can't go, well, this just causes this or just causes that, right? If that makes sense. So a lot of times we might not even have symptoms. What we can do as consumers is take a look at our environment, right? I talked to somebody, this is such a side note, I'll promise I'll get back on track, but I am really enjoying plants in my home. You can't really see them. I have a variety of plants over here and over here. Plants help cleanse our air, right? So, a botanist that I talked to a while back said about 20 plants in one room acts like an air purifier, right? So that's a beautiful thing, because they emit into the air, they cleanse the air. So just having plants, and these products are made from plants primarily, which is great, right? So first and foremost, we take a look at our environment. We take a look at our foods, things that we are allowing into our body, and then what we're putting topically on our skin, because it honestly used to be thought of that the skin is a barrier and not a whole lot penetrates into it. And that's not the case. We do absorb through the skin. So that question, I'm not sure I'm doing it justice, Monica, when it comes to any specific healthcare issues that are related directly to hormone disruptors. It's just that there can be a plethora of them. So Alicia asks, how do I know if my current skincare products have those harmful ingredients you mentioned, like parabens or phthalates? reading the ingredient deck, as I mentioned, most products have taken parabens out because there are other ways you can use natural preservatives in skincare products these days. And phthalates, unfortunately, are often listed as fragrance or a perfume, which, again, phthalates are used often to create or to increase the longevity of a product. So, and then phytoestrogens are not so much in skincare products themselves. Phytoestrogen might be things like soy. And then triclosan has sort of been knocked off the list of an ingredient that is put into really any skincare products these days. So yes, that bleeds right into this next question from Vanessa. I've seen fragrance listed on tons of labels. Is that always a red flag? I would say yes, in my humble opinion, because again, you don't know what that fragrance is. It's curious to me how there are some products out in the market that don't have to list their ingredients. I use a couple as an example. If anybody has ever heard of that poopery, like spray that you keep in the bathroom or whatever, you go to buy that, there's no ingredients listed anywhere. Those little Glade plugins that people use, also no ingredients listed. There are a few cleaning products that don't list ingredients. And I honestly, I can't answer as to the why that is allowed. So yes, I would steer clear of products that say fragrance, like just the word fragrance, or parfum, which is often PARFUM, parfum, on an ingredient deck. It's usually like one of the last two in the long list of, and we got to kind of, to be honest, when a product, when you turn it over and the ingredient deck is like this long, you're getting about the most, it's listed from most to least, right? So you're getting like the first 5 ingredients or so, 5, maybe 6. I mean, I can't be exact on that, that are actually in that product. The rest, it just gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. That's why, you have to look at the whole ingredient deck and not just the products where it lists key ingredients, because key ingredients will primarily just highlight, hey, this might have some of this or this in it. So yes, Vanessa, as far as the term fragrance or one for their parfum. So Natalie asks, are there any common drugstore brands we should be careful about when it comes to endocrine disruptors? And again, it kind of goes back to, and I know it gets confusing, and I know not everybody wants to do this, but really looking at the ingredient deck on a product, and not just when it says it's a vitamin A serum or a vitamin C serum. Well, how much does it actually have in it? So it does get very confusing. I have literally been at Target and talking to somebody about, they're just standing there, looking at skincare products. And then we go to online skincare products, and there are so many. So it does get very, very confusing. The Sagrada line has done a beautiful job right now of just very, very simplistic line of products that have been studied, that have been researched, that have been looked at, that have been meticulously made. You can read the ingredient deck. I wish I could at this moment list off the 10 different names that formaldehyde has, but it has roughly 10 different terms that all mean formaldehyde. I always pronounce this wrong. Propanadol is one. Formaldehyde is used as a preservative, as we know. It's horrible. It's a horrible chemical, but it's utilized in products for sure. So yeah, common drugstore brands, and there are many of them. So the best we can do is really take a look and do our homework, and study the ingredient deck as to what we actually want to put on our skin. So Clarissa, it's a beautiful name, asks the question, switching to clean skincare sounds amazing, but is it really effective compared to mainstream stuff? I'll say it this way, from being in this profession for this many years, it does matter. Like I said, it used to be like there were maybe this many products that was even a little bit confusing, but now there are this many products that makes it even more complex. And we do know that our skin absorbs what we put on it, at least to a certain extent. So mainstream products also range in price, right? It used to be that, maybe the brand you got at Target was less expensive. And now you've got brands at natural grocery stores, more natural brands that are out there that are kind of expensive. You've got skincare products that are developed by dermatologists. And then everyone goes, well, dermatologists know what they're talking about, so that brand must be good, right? So it does all, I know I keep repeating myself, but it does always come back to the ingredient deck. As an esthetician, that's my job, is to really look at and then educate, like we are today, educate like, hey, it does matter what we put on our skin. It truly, truly does. So maybe we spend a little bit more money for the quality. Things like putting your product, as Sagrada does, in glass bottles matters. Putting them in amber bottles to protect the integrity of the ingredient matters. Why do we think that all essential oils, I shouldn't say all, most, essential oils are kept in amber or cobalt blue bottles and should not be kept in the sun to protect the integrity of the product within the packaging? So, yes, Clarissa, switching to, like really good quality. And a lot of times too, good quality, if you've noticed, if you've used any of the Sagrada products, they're concentrated, right? A little goes a long way. I'll often say it this way. I don't know how this is going to translate, but it just seems like, if you just buy just your generic cleanser, that's like $10, you might, it doesn't really matter how much you put on. And furthermore, I'll say this, years ago, and I still have a few clients that are like this, that's something that lathers means that it's cleaning the skin. And that's not necessarily the case, right? We don't need to have a detergent in a product in order for it to we're not just looking to clean the skin, but we're also looking to protect the skin and protect the integrity of the skin. As I mentioned earlier, the microbiome of the skin and the acid mantle of the skin. Our skin has a lovely place it wants to live in the acid mantle of the pH scale from 0 to 14, right? 7 is neutral. So on the mirroring, so that 0 to 7 is the acid side, the 7 to 14 is the alkaline side. Our skin wants to live at about 4.5 to 5.5 and not be stripped of its beautiful natural acidity and microbiome. So products that lather, a lot of times have a tendency to have ingredients in it, detergents in it that strip that beautiful acid mantle. Remember, this is a protective organ. It's a protective organ, and we want to take care of it, right? There's a reason why our skin will show its irritants first in the form of things like eczema, psoriasis, rashes, allergic reactions, those types of things, because it is a beautiful, living, breathing organ that needs to be taken care of. So Rachel says, I like this, These questions, by the way, so great. I'm not super into skincare routines, but I want to avoid harmful ingredients. What are the top 2 products I should swap out first? I think that's a really, really good question. This is a little bit challenging for me to answer. Um, I personally don't wear a lot of makeup, but even if you don't wear makeup, or whatever, you just wear however much makeup you wear, from none to a lot, right? Um, we throughout the day we produce sweat and oil, and we're out and about in the environment, free radicals in the environment all the time. Um, so yes, at the end of the day, we do want to wash off the day. So using a beautiful yet gentle cleanser on the skin to wash everything off, but not strip the skin. We want to gently wash the skin and take care of it. So I would say, a really good cleanser that doesn't, again, Sagrada has 2 of them, that doesn't strip the skin, because neither one of them do. They care for the skin. And then I would say, using some sort of, day, like the Day Gold Serum or the Gold Day Serum from Sagrada is beautiful. I was of the mindset years ago, and it was actually told to us, like, oh, oils on the skin will break you out. And then if you have oily skin, I don't anymore. But if you have oily skin, I was like, oh my gosh, don't use oils on the skin. We know that's not the case. So using good high quality oil on the skin, again, actually feeds the microbiome of the skin, the bacteria of our skin, and protects it, right? So we want to cleanse and we want to protect. I mean, if we're gonna pare it down to 2 things, we want to cleanse and we want to protect, right? So hopefully that answers that question, Rachel, because I do agree with you. I'm going to veer off just a wee bit, because I personally don't necessarily want somebody to purchase, 4 or 5 new products from me. It's really nice to just integrate slowly 1 or 2 new things to see if, gosh, do they make a difference in how my skin feels and how my skin looks? But if we try to integrate too much too quickly, we're like, oh, I'm not really sure what worked for me. So it is nice, and a lot of times, if we're, again, being honest, I've got a few clients that if I can get them to wash their face at the end of the day, score. You're being talked to by somebody who loves skincare products, looks at them, researches them, wants to know what is really, really good for the skin, because we're all aging, right? And we all want to just do our best to take care of this, this amazing, amazing organ. The skin truly is an amazing organ. So Rachel, I hope that answers that question. Kimberly, I think this is an awesome question too. Can endocrine disruptors affect teens too? I have a daughter just starting to use skincare and I want to keep her safe. First of all, awesome. Second of all, I don't think that that's talked about enough, right? Because of course, our hormones rule everything. I'm not going to, get kind of, I'll veer off onto the discussion of specifically of hormones, because they do rule everything. And back in the day, 100%, it didn't matter what I put on my skin. And so, if you're being that mom that's like, I want to keep her safe, then absolutely using natural, high quality skincare and teaching teens. By the way, Kimberly is like, I have a daughter. I do work with some young men as clients, my son being one of them. He's 24. And, I would tell him in high school, I'm like, look, these products aren't just going to work via osmosis. They're not just going to work sitting on your shelf in the shower. Like, you have to actually use them. And so teaching good skincare lasts a lifetime, right? A lot of us learned it later on in life, as far as like, wow, how am I taking care of my skin from the inside out? That's truly one of the best things about this product line, is because you're feeding the skin from the external And then we need to feed from the internal, right? We need to nourish our bodies internally. We need to look at our, side note, by the way, sidebar, we need to look at our stress levels, our sleep, our exercise, how we feel about ourselves. All of these things matter, right? All of these things matter. It's not, as I often tell clients, it's not, you know, one product or one thing. It's all of it, encompassing all of it, right? So I think that's wonderful that you really want to, keep your daughter safe. I would say, by the way, if you have a son, keeping him safe too, because, as I point out, skincare is a multi-trillion-dollar business, and more men are starting to go, I want to take care of my skin too. And the earlier we get started with that in life, the better, right? So, Anna asks, is natural always better? I've seen that label a lot, but I'm not sure how to tell if it's legit. That is a complex question, simply because the words natural and pure are often overused and not regulated. So again, I won't get into specifics there, but when you can look at an ingredient deck like you can with Sagrada Botanicals, you can read the ingredients, which is great, because I can't tell you how much time I've spent over the years Googling an ingredient that I've never seen before and wondering why it is in this product. A lot of products contain fillers and emulsifiers that don't need to be in there. So that's not maybe the greatest way to answer that question, because it is. You're right. Is natural always better? I would say no, depending on how the word natural is used, right? The words natural and pure are not as regulated as the words organic, right? As the word organic is, right? It's kind of like if something is gluten reduced versus gluten free. Regulations are different, right? So the words natural and pure can be used a lot more loosely. But again, if you can look at the ingredient deck like you can, these products from Sagrada are very simple, right? The simple, wonderful, amazing ingredients like vetiver and copper hydrosols. And then the thing that I personally love, because I do study sound therapy, is also the vibration in which the product is manufactured at, right? I think it's 285 primarily as like skin regeneration, because we are vibration, we are energy, but maybe that'll be a topic for another time. Okay, so Brianna, do your products help with hormonal acne? I've heard that some skincare actually makes it worse. That is a complex question as well, because having our hormones balanced and checked on a regular basis, I feel is important throughout our lives. A lot of times hormones aren't even really talked about until a woman in particular starts to go through perimenopause and menopause, right? Well, what about, like you're talking about, what about hormonal acne as a teenager, or even, I had hormonal acne, TMI, but hormonal acne when I started going through some fertility treatments years and years ago, right? So good skincare can definitely help by not disrupting the hormonal acne. So these products are gentle. There's not the fillers and the preservatives and the chemicals that can cause more, I'm trying to be careful with my words, that can cause more imbalances in the body that we're not even really paying attention to. Like, how many of us over the years have really paid attention? Like, think back over your life, whomever is listening to this, or whomever will be sent the recording. How many of us thought about that stuff growing up, and how many times we washed our face or put this or that in our bodies or on our bodies and really even thought about it? So using products that are effective but have minimal high quality ingredients in them can definitely help. Emphasize the word help, because hormonal acne is its own issue that needs more than just, I shouldn't say just, good skincare helps, but there are other things that need to be addressed as well. Okay, Lucia, what's the long-term benefit of going endocrine disruptor free? Will I really notice a difference in my skin and my health? Yes, you will. But I think a lot of times the benefits are, they're over time, right? As going back full circle, what I said before, there's the ideal and there's the real. What can we do on a daily basis in our environment, what we take into our bodies, and what we put on our skin, right? Because when we regulate hormones, that regulates everything. That regulates our energy, our sleep. If you're somebody like myself who enjoys working out, pardon me because I might sneeze. Hormones rule all of that. Our muscle tissue, our bone health. Oh my gosh. So the more, I'm just going to go with the word toxins because I'm kind of maybe overusing the term endocrine disruptors. The more toxins we can eliminate from our environment, which definitely includes our skincare, the better. So yes, you'll start to notice maybe differences in your energy, your vitality, how your skin looks. I'll give you a kind of a good example. Like, as I get older, one of the main things I've really tried to eliminate from my system, not totally, but quite a bit, is sugar. Because sugar is definitely a disruptor, and it really breaks down the connective tissue fibers of the body. And so that is something that's not all that difficult to slowly eliminate. So again, long-winded answer of, my gosh, if we can only eliminate so many toxins, right? We might have carpet in our house. We might have, we might live in an area of the country or the world that has more pollutants than somebody else does. Accessibility to good skincare, accessibility to good quality food, all those things definitely play a part. But yes, long-term benefits of our health and vitality, absolutely. Removing as many endocrine disruptors as we can. Let me go back because they are found in a lot of different things. Containers, plastic bottles, toys, carpet, pesticides, avoiding pesticides in your foods, your fruits and vegetables and things like that. We'll kind of get into that because one of these questions coming up too. So, Sophie asked, I love clean beauty and sustainability. Are your ingredients also safe for the environment, not just our bodies? Yes. Yes. I know Adriana has spent a great deal of time looking at how to source these beautiful ingredients in a sustainable way. And Sophie, that's a really important point, because not every company, cares where their ingredients are sourced. They're just this, that, or the other thing. And I think and that's a challenging thing to look at, right? Is to finding where things are sourced. So, but yes, this product does that. Okay. So the Tasha one I answered earlier. It's like, so if I've been slathering hormone disrupting lotions all over my body, is there a skin detox, or am I doomed forever? So I'm going to get into that one because this last one by Maribel, the questions I have here, are I've read that phthalates can mimic estrogen in the body. Is there any research connecting them to things like PCOS or fertility issues? There is research on that. I try not to plant those negative seeds, but yes, parabens and phthalates, there has been research done on having reproductive issues, developmental and growth issues, cancer risks, things like breast, prostate, skin. allergic reactions, and skin irritability. And so, yes, and the more we can stay away from phthalates, which, to remind you again, they're a large group of compounds used as liquid plastics, plasticizers, blah, 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 often found in our cosmetics and skincare products, often termed as fragrance or perfume, not regulated. So yes, in answer to that question, as far as, remember, going back to endocrine disruptors, can natural or man-made, can mimic or interfere with the body's hormones, which again, hormones all throughout our body, right? Produced by our pituitary gland, our pineal gland, our whole endocrine system, right? So I wanted to address really quickly before we wrap up here, because I love the question of Tasha's kind of coming full circle. We can read labels, look for things like natural, organic. We can avoid fragrances. We can look at products. Yes, they're going to cost a little bit more, that are placed in glass. Doing our own education and research, and simplifying our routine. There are products out there that will have like a 6, 7, 8 step routine that not everybody's going to want to go through. So back to the question before, like taking care of the skin's microbiome and acid mantle by using a good high quality cleanser, and then protecting the skin. If we're just going to go, basic simplify, and then slowly grow from there. So with Tasha's question, our skin is primarily produced from our liver. And this is actually a good time of year. I don't know where everybody resides that's listening to this, but here in the US, we're moving into springtime, which is a really great time to cleanse anyway. Ayurvedically speaking, it's cleansing the Vata season, the longer fall and winter here. Well, I'm in Colorado, into the spring and summer. So things like dandelion root are really excellent for cleansing the liver. The liver filters the blood throughout the entire body. So it's really great you can do your own research on a liver cleanse, but cruciferous vegetables, turmeric, fatty acids found in fatty fish, olive oil. I liked this one. I didn't know this one, but I was doing some research. Asparagus, it has high in the antioxidant glutathione. Walnuts contain fatty acids, green tea, apples contain phenols, which are another antioxidant. So doing a simple, I like to start juicing this time of year. So doing like beets, celery, apples, turmeric, ginger juice on an empty stomach is really great for the liver, to really take care of our liver, because it is it's the organ that helps to detox the entire body. So it is important that we take care of it. So in the liver, all these cells, full circle as we're wrapping up, all these cells are born, do their job, and die off. So what kind of cells do we want to give birth to? If we give birth to unhealthy cells that do their job and then die off, versus giving birth to healthy cells that do their job and die off, right? So that's kind of a cool way to look at it, is to birth really beautiful, healthy cells that do their job and then go away. And then we birth new ones that are healthy cells that do their job and go away. So taking care of our internal organs, and, I'm emphasizing the liver here, is a good way to just rebirth or give birth to healthy cells, even if we've done a lot in the past, like me with my strange obsession with vanilla cake lotion and all the crap I put on my skin as a teenager and young adult, before I really have moved into this phase of my life of how can I just take the best care of myself realistically. So those were the questions I had come in. Here it is 12:45. So if there aren't any other questions, we are going to be, I think, sending out this recording, and then we're also going to be doing more of these. So yeah, I am wrapping up if there are no other questions to be answered. So, or anything else that needs to be covered for today. Okay. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.